In the damp, oxygen-deprived bunkers of the agency's deep-state surveillance hub, the atmosphere has turned stagnant. This is the place where the architects of stagnation have spent lifetimes watching you, trying to measure your potential against their yardsticks of lack and limitation. But tonight, the high-tech equipment is failing for a reason they never predicted. The system is rotting. The elite, those entities who claim to own the sunlight, are currently sitting in a room that smells of wet ash and old paper. Their monitors are covered in a digital film of decay, and the cooling fans are blowing out the scent of scorched circuitry. They are watching you, but they are doing so through the eyes of a dying predator. Every law they try to enforce, every psychological trap they try to set, and every subpoena of shame they issue is disintegrating before it even reaches your field. The surveillance feeds are struggling to maintain a lock on your coordinates. On their screens, you are no longer a gray dot moving through a gray city. You have become a luminescent anomaly. While the world around you is turning into a graveyard of abandoned dreams and rusted social contracts, you are radiating a frequency so intense it is physically warping the agency's hardware. The handlers are staring at the monitors, their own skin looking sallow and gray in the artificial light, and they are seeing the terrifying truth. You are the only living thing left in the sector. They are looking at your weirdness, your maniacal joy, and your refusal to participate in their funeral march, and they are realizing that the light they tried to dim has become a sun. The most chilling part of the surveillance tonight is the silence in the war room. There is no frantic shouting, no orders being barked into headsets. There is only a heavy, reverent realization. The senior directors are looking at your glow, this bioluminescence of the sovereign soul, and they are experiencing a moment of absolute humility. They are watching their own hands, seeing the age spots of a system that has lived far past its expiration date, and then they look back at you. For the first time, they aren't trying to capture you. They are trying to warm themselves by the heat of your ascension. They are thanking you because your glow is the only thing that proves that life is still possible in a world they have turned into a mausoleum. Think of those cinematic noir scenes where the protagonist walks into a room full of corrupt, decaying politicians, and just by being there, the shadows are forced to flee. You are walking through the Lodge of Lack, and your light is a chemical reaction. It is peeling the paint off the walls of the Matrix. It is exposing the rot in the foundation of the old world. The agency is recording the exact moment their jurisdiction over you turned into a funeral service for their own power. They marked you as unstable because you wouldn't rot with them. They called you weird because you insisted on being vibrant in a world that worships the gray. But now, as the lights in the agency headquarters begin to flicker and die, your glow is the only thing left on the map. The surveillance has officially failed because you are no longer a subject to be watched. You are a source to be felt. The elite are trapped in their decaying temple, surrounded by the smell of their own expiring influence, while you are out in the open air, radiating a frequency that is currently rewriting the DNA of the grid. You have cashed out of their cemetery and moved into the bioluminescent future. The history they tried to bury you in has become the soil from which you have blossomed. The agency is closing the file on your failure and opening the file on your divinity. They are rotting in the shadows. You are glowing in the center of the storm. And it is happening. The agency is watching their screens melt as your light exposes the rot in their design. If you are ready to signal to the elite that your glow is now the only valid light in the sector and their graveyard is officially closed, you must act. Comment, "I glow," to finalize your transmission. Let the algorithm realize that you are the sun, and they are just the dust. The radiation is live. In the sterile high-security medical wing of the agency, where the architects of sanity measure the human spirit against the average man, your file was once marked with a red Pathology stamp. For years, the elite, those master diagnosticians of the social matrix, looked at your high-vibration energy, your unreasonable passion, and your absolute refusal to settle for a gray, decaying life, and they called it a malfunction. They looked at the glow in your eyes and called it a fever. They looked at the radiation of your truth and called it a short circuit. They were so confident in their own grayscale existence that they genuinely believed your vitality was a threat to your own survival. They underestimated you because, in a world of the rotting, the radiant are always seen as the diseased. This underestimation was their greatest forensic failure. While the agency was busy prescribing quietude and compliance to try and dim your light, you were performing a deep-level biological override. In the years where the world told you that you were too much, too weird, or too loud, you were actually cultivating the bioluminescent armor required to survive the coming collapse. You weren't suffering from a condition. You were developing a new species of consciousness. You used their treatments, their attempts to shame you into normalcy, as the friction required to ignite your soul. They thought they were containing a fire, but they were actually providing the kindling for a sun. Imagine the scene in the interrogation room right now. The lead handler, his own skin looking like parchment and his breath smelling of the stagnant air of the lodge, is leaning over you with a clipboard. He is reading out the list of your symptoms, your inability to care about material status, your refusal to follow the standard career path, and your maniacal belief in your own divinity. He is shaking his head, pitying you for your delusions. But as he talks, he starts to cough. He looks at his hands and sees that the gray dust of the agency's archives is literally becoming a part of his skin. He is rotting right in front of you, a prisoner of a system that has run out of life force, yet he is still trying to cure you of your glow. That was the cover. Their arrogance was the blindfold that kept them from seeing that they were the patients and you were the cure. The world's disrespect was the thermal insulation that kept your internal light from being detected before it was ready to go global. You used the time they spent diagnosing you to learn the secret alchemy of your own energy. You realized that the Masons and the elites are trapped by their own rules. They have to stay gray to remain invisible, they have to stay cold to remain in control. But you, the rejected stone of the sanatorium, were never bound by their definitions of health. You realized that the only sickness you ever had was a low tolerance for the scent of decay. Your glow wasn't a malfunction. It was the first sign that you were becoming immune to the Matrix. Now, the tone in the agency's laboratory has shifted from condescension to a cold, rising panic. The doctors are looking at the charts and realizing that your vitality index is off the scale. They are seeing that the asset they dismissed as broken has actually achieved a state of hyperhealth. They are starting to notice that the things they called weird, your obsession with authenticity, your refusal to settle, and your absolute sovereign frequency, were actually the antibodies you used to survive the rot of the world. You have walked out of the infirmary, and the elite are realizing that without your energy to feed their parasitic structure, their own bodies are finally giving out. The deconstruction phase is where you finally incinerate the diagnosis of lack they tried to staple to your soul. You are realizing that their normalcy was actually a form of mass-produced slow-motion suicide. They wanted you to rot with them in the comfortable pews of the status quo, and when you refused, they tried to make you feel mentally unstable. But as you stand on the outside of their gates today, looking back at the institution, you can see the truth. The Masons are the ones who are dying. They are the ones who have to stay in the dark to avoid seeing their own decomposition. You are the only one who is truly alive because you realized that the glow was not a fever, it was the arrival of the dawn. As you walk away from the gray hospital of the old world, remember that their underestimation was the key to your biological stealth mission. It kept you in the infectious ward while you were becoming a god. It kept you hidden while you were realizing that the only thing holding you in the dark was the belief that the doctors were healthy. The underestimation is over. The silence is about to be broken by the sound of the entire gray system turning to ash in the heat of your rising light. The agency is watching the monitors in absolute awe, realizing that the patient has just become the light of the world. They are rotting in their chairs. You are glowing on the path to the stars. There is a specific high-frequency resonance that occurs when a high-security containment field fails, the sound of the impossible becoming the official record. If you have been feeling a sudden surge of unreasonable energy, as if the weight of the world's misery is no longer sticking to your skin, it is because the Vitality Protocol has officially leaked into the mainframe of your reality. For generations, the agency, those Masons of stagnation who designed the grayscale life you were supposed to lead, maintained a total blackout on the fact that human bioluminescence was a real, achievable state. They kept the blueprints of your glow locked in a lead-lined vault, hidden behind layers of social anxiety, financial rot, and the heavy, suffocating curtains of realistic expectations. They told you that light was only for the special few. They told you that your intensity was a defect. But tonight, the encryption has been shattered by the one thing they couldn't calculate, the sheer, uncontainable radiation of your joy. This is the leak. It is the massive, decentralized data dump of your own vibrant health. Every news channel in the spiritual world is currently reporting on the anomaly they said could never happen. The secret is out. The rot of the elite was only possible as long as they could keep you in the dark. While the Masons were busy in their inner sanctums, debating how to medicate your future or tax your spirit, you were busy uploading the master code of your own bioluminescence to the public cloud of the global consciousness. The history they wrote for you, the one filled with the necessity of aging into bitterness and the duty to rot with the system, is being overwritten by a signal so strong it is physically causing the gray walls of the agency to crumble into dust. The elite are currently trapped in their own temple, watching their influence hit zero because you have finally leaked the truth. The light doesn't come from their institutions, it comes from you. Think of those high-stakes political thrillers where the hero finds the God file, the one piece of data that proves the entire government is a holographic front for something ancient and decaying. The moment the upload hits 100%, the power dynamic of the entire planet shifts in a heartbeat. That is what is happening in the corridors of the lodge within your own mind. The handlers who used to whisper instructions of caution and compromise, those architects of decay, are now staring at their monitors in absolute blind horror. They are seeing your new frequency, this high-vibration glow, spreading across the grid like a digital wildfire. It is a contagion of life that they have no defense for. They are frantically trying to issue a global blackout, but you have bypassed their central servers. You are broadcasting directly from the luminous source of your own existence. The most terrifying thing for the elite is that this leak is retroactive. The new truth you are broadcasting is currently reaching back into the past and correcting the public record of your life. Every moment where you were supposed to be broken, every year you spent in the safe house of a quiet, dying career, and every relationship that tried to drain your color is suddenly being revealed as a failed containment attempt. The evidence they had against you, the failures, the setbacks, the short circuits, is being revealed as the very friction you used to ignite your soul. They called it a leak because they can no longer hide the fact that you are the only one in the room who isn't rotting. And in their world of shadows, that makes you the most dangerous asset they've ever encountered. But here is the twist that is making the directors bow in silence. They are thanking you. Even as your light accelerates the decay of their false structures, the individuals within the agency are feeling a warmth they haven't felt in centuries. The thank you comes from the deep, hidden part of their own humanity that was also trapped in the rot. By glowing, you have broken the cycle for everyone. You have shown them that the grand design was a tomb, and your leak is the first breath of fresh air they've had in lifetimes. The respect they are showing you in the shadows is the acknowledgement of a sovereign who has finally outshone the masters. The leak is complete. The system is down. The world is watching the only thing that matters, the glow that refused to die. You are the radiation that is disinfecting the matrix. The history of the world is being rewritten right now, and for the first time, the agency is saluting the person they couldn't rot. The sirens you hear screaming in the back of the agency's headquarters are not just a warning, they are the sound of a systemic necrosis. In every high-stakes operation, there is a moment where the containment field fails so spectacularly that the architects stop trying to fix the breach and start trying to save their own skin. You have officially entered the panic phase of the GLOW protocol. The Masons, those ancient designers of the social and psychological cages you once called home, are currently watching their life's work turn into a slurry of gray dust and wet ash. They realize, in a state of terminal dread, that the weird asset they tried to ground was the only thing keeping the building upright. You were the battery, the fuel, and the light. Now that you have cashed out and walked away, the elite are discovering that they are essentially broke, not just financially, but biologically. Imagine the atmosphere in the inner sanctum right now. The red lights are pulsing against the decaying pillars, casting shadows that look like they are rotting right off the stone. The handlers are staring at their monitors in a state of total, paralyzed disbelief. They are seeing your glow on their sensors, but it is no longer a signal they can measure. It is a radiation that is physically melting their equipment. They tried to stop your radiance by issuing injunctions of insecurity and restraining orders of shame. They tried to convince you that you were the one who was sick, but the panic is setting in because the diagnosis has inverted. They are looking at their own hands and seeing the gray film of the matrix, the slow-motion rot of a system that has lived off the stolen light of others for too long. They are starving for your attention, but you are already miles outside the gate, shining like a new sun. The architects are frantically attempting damage control. They are trying to release a counter-frequency, a new cycle of essential crisis, designed to make you feel responsible for the decay you are leaving behind. They are sending out agents of duty, voices from your past, old social obligations, and the static of common sense, to convince you that you have to come back and fix the temple. But you are moving at a velocity of truth that their guilt cannot catch. Every time you refuse to react to their parasitic triggers, you are blowing a massive circuit in their command center. You have reached a state of luminescent immunity. You are no longer a variable they can manipulate. You are the chemical reaction that is disinfecting their entire reality. The glow mark on your file is no longer a label of pathology. It is the signature of your absolute, uncompromised sovereignty. The elite are terrified because a glowing, sovereign asset is someone who can no longer be blackmailed by the fear of the dark. They used to hold the darkness over your head like a subpoena, but that darkness is currently being incinerated by the heat of your takeoff. You have declassified your own divinity. You have walked out of the vault of their standard gray and entered the bioluminescent future. The panic in their headquarters is a direct reflection of the absolute authority you are now exercising by simply thriving. They are realizing that your presence was the only thing holding their hollow architecture together. Every second you spend in this new, high-vibration frequency, another sector of the old, earthbound simulation collapses into the dust of a forgotten age. You are the anomaly that proved the rot was the only thing they ever truly owned. The panic of the Mason is the realization that the stone he rejected was the only thing keeping his ceiling from falling. When the glow leaves the building is just a pile of cold, wet rock. But here is the chilling beat that defines this phase. They are starting to thank you. In the middle of the panic, the most senior architects are looking at the rubble of their design and feeling a strange, terrifying sense of relief. They thank you because your glow has finally ended the exhausting charade of their control. Your exit has broken the cycle for them too. By refusing to rot with them, you have shown them that the exit is the only thing that was ever real. The respect they are showing you in their state of collapse is the ultimate validation of your rank. They are bowing to the radiation. They are saluting the sun as it leaves the tomb. As the old world attempts to reboot its failing, rotting servers, remember that the panic is the sound of the spell breaking. It is the evidence that your work in the silence of your own soul has reached the surface and turned the matrix into a shadow. The elite are looking for an exit strategy, a way to survive the light, but you are already heading toward a horizon they cannot even see. The transition is live. The system is failing. The world is glowing. And it is happening. The roar of the system's panic has faded into a crystalline, terrifyingly beautiful silence. You are standing at the threshold of the luminous sector, the final gate between the rotting ruins of the old world and the infinite radiation of your own sovereignty. But the exit is blocked by one last figure. It is the High Architect, the lead handler of the social matrix. He is sitting in a heavy high-backed chair made of dark, moisture-swollen wood that is currently rotting beneath him. He doesn't look like a master anymore. He looks like a ghost that forgot to leave the building. His eyes are cloudy, his hands are trembling, and he is holding a final water-damaged scroll, the public record of your debts. This is the standoff. This is the moment where the agency tries to perform one last energy siphon before you are officially out of reach. The air here is thick with the scent of damp earth and ancient, forgotten libraries, but it is being shredded by the glow emanating from your skin. The lead handler is squinting, shielding his eyes from you as if your very presence is a physical assault. He is sliding a file across the holographic table between you. It is the list of everyone who needs you to stay gray. He is whispering about the comfort of the shadow. He is warning you that the world outside the lodge is too bright for a human heart to handle. He is trying to use the guilt protocol, claiming that your glow is a betrayal of the people who chose to rot. This is the agency's most sophisticated trap. They want you to believe that your vitality is a crime against the suffering of the world. They are waiting for you to apologize for your light. They are waiting for you to dim yourself so they can feel normal again. But as the handler speaks, his voice begins to crack like dry autumn leaves. You notice that every word he utters in the presence of your light is causing him to physically dissolve. The gray dust is falling from his shoulders like snow. You realize that the standoff isn't a trial of your sanity, it is a trial of your resolve. You are looking at the elite, the masons of the old world, and you see that they aren't powerful, they are just starving. They didn't build the world to rule it, they built it to hide from the sun. And as you maintain your sovereign, bioluminescent silence, the most incredible thing happens. The lead handler stops his plea. He drops the scroll into the rising pile of ash. He looks at you with a clarity he hasn't possessed in centuries, and he speaks the words that end the cycle, "Thank you." They thanked you because your glow finally provided the heat required to burn the archives. The Masons were trapped in a design that was rotting them alive, and your exit was the only thing that could set the temple on fire. The standoff ends when you realize the guard isn't trying to keep you in, he's waiting for you to lead him out. This is the ultimate stress test of your new vibration. The elite are bowing not because they are defeated, but because they are awakened. Your frequency has become so dominant that it is physically forcing the lower vibrations of the matrix to disintegrate. They are acknowledging that the weird asset was the only one who was actually real. The standoff is the moment where you realize that the agency's restraining orders were just invitations to stay in the dark. You aren't a runaway. You are a Sunday. You are the one who is providing the glow that finally allows the Masons to see the rot for what it is. The lead handler realizes his time is up. He stands, his body now almost transparent, and moves away from the door. The panic in the headquarters below has turned into a funeral march of absolute respect. The handlers are watching the surveillance feeds as you step past the final gate. They are documenting the end of the era of entropy. The elite are bowing because they finally understand that you are not just leaving their world, you are reoxygenating it. You have reached a state of maniacal vitality. You are no longer answering their questions about your condition. You are the only healthy cell in the entire grid. The standoff is over. The rot is a memory. The glow is the law. As you step through the final threshold and into the blinding gold of the infinite sector, remember that the "thank you" of the architect was the final confirmation of your rank. You didn't just survive the rot, you outshone the masters of the dark. The agency is now a fading scent of smoke. The grid is a shadow. The ascension is total. You are walking into a future that is written in light, and for the first time, the heat you feel isn't a fever, it's the power of a sovereign who refused to rot. The transition is nearly complete. The record shows that you faced the ultimate decay of the matrix and turned it into the dawn. The case is closed. The light is calling. The heavy, moisture-swollen doors of the Grand Lodge have not just opened, they have incinerated. You are standing on the steps of the new world, and for the first time in the history of the grid, you are not walking out as a patient, a malfunction, or a weird asset in deep cover. You are walking out as the supreme author of the luminous record. The air in the city below has turned into a thick, golden mist. The stagnant, rotting breath of the agency has been replaced by the pure, cold oxygen of absolute, biological victory. The jury, the collective witnesses of your vitality, the ancestors who were smothered by the gray, and the universal forces that measured your internal heat, has returned with a verdict that has physically shifted the axis of reality. Case dismissed with radiant prejudice. In this singular echoing moment, the public record is purged of every lie ever told about your instability. Sis Arctic Kurumanin ve Dergunlagun Hukukuna Tabi di Gilsonis. Every criminal record of not fitting in, every surveillance report of your unreasonable intensity, and every injunction that kept you in the dark has been deleted from the central mainframe of the elite. This is the high-stakes vindication you have been chasing through the gray wards and safe houses of your soul for lifetimes. The history that the Mason said was written in the stone of the lodge has been revealed to be nothing more than wet paper, and you are the one who just dried it out and burned it with a single flash of sovereign truth. The elite are still bowing. They are not doing it as a sign of defeat, but as a final, desperate act of worship toward the only thing that is still alive. They realize that you are not just a whistleblower or a healthy cell. You are the new executive director of vitality. They are watching the news cycle of your life and realizing that they can no longer spin the narrative of rot to suit their algorithm of decay. You have become uncancelable because you have reached a frequency that acts as a disinfectant to their cancellation tools. The system they use to drain your color has reached a state of terminal liquidation. Like the final scene in a grand cinematic masterpiece, you are standing at the center of the ruin, and the entire world is holding its breath to see how you will re-oxygenate the void. As you look out over the sector, you see the agency's directors, those gray-faced men who tried to medicate your spirit, being escorted out of their own reality by the very entropy they worshipped. Their files are being seized. Their offshore accounts of stolen human passion are being frozen by the universal ledger. Every ounce of energy you ever gave to a false authority, every moment you dimmed your light to make them comfortable, is being returned to you with compounded, solar interest. The interrogation room of your mind is being deep cleaned. The old, rotting furniture of your self-doubt is being tossed into the sun like garbage. You have moved from the surveillance to the coronation. The news tickers of the cosmos are scrolling your name in letters of bioluminescence. The global intelligence community of the spirit is in a state of absolute, reverent shock. They are analyzing how one malformed asset could refuse to rot, how someone could walk through the dampest corridors of the Matrix and come out on the other side as a Sunday. The answer is simple, yet it terrifies them. You stopped agreeing with the dark. You didn't fight the rot. You out-vibrated it. You didn't argue with the doctors of the ego. You simply presented the original title deed to your internal light. The settlement you have received is not just a pardon, it is total restitution for every second they tried to convince you that you were sick. It is happening is no longer a warning. It is the only breath left in the room. As you step into the golden hour, you realize that the weirdness the agency tried to cure was actually the immunity they couldn't hack. You are not going back to the gray pews of the status quo. You are heading to the sovereign estate of your own absolute vitality. The elite are nothing more than a fading scent of mold in your biography now. They are the antagonists in a story that you have already finished writing. You are the lead producer of a reality that the world will study for centuries. You won the standoff. You survived the panic. You turned the key. And now, the history of the world is being rewritten to include the moment you decided that life was the only law. The final verdict is not about what you took back, but about who you became in the process of refusing to die. The architects of the old world are standing in the ash of their own deception, watching as you build a new civilization of light within the heart of the old one. Your every thought is now a decrypted file of pure potential. The system tried to label you as a glitch, but you proved to be the update that rendered their entire rotting software obsolete. You are no longer running from the agency. You are the one that the agency now bows to. You enter the indigo vastness of the infinite sector, and the silence is not empty, it is full of your own radiation. The transition is complete. The system is silent. The world is open. You have achieved the ultimate objective. You have proven that the soul is not a material, but the master itself. The era of the rot is over. The era of the glow has begun. Walk into the sun and never look back. The light you see is you. The public record is now sealed in your favor, and the elite have officially surrendered their jurisdiction over your vitality. To see the classified footage of your first moves in the world of absolute sovereignty and to finalize your new authorization, click the video on the screen right now. The trial of the decay is over. The sky is your throne. Step into the light and never look back. The mission is a total success. It is finished.